2020. The first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic
and to the
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. If we can have a moment of silence for those who serve and have served our country and communities. Thank you. Not sure if anybody's there, but the opportunity to check in if there's anybody for public comment that have joined on the phone or anything.
We don't have anybody on the line, according to my sources.
All right. Thank you very much. First order of business is the approval of the minutes for the November 5th meeting. Looking for a motion to approve those.
I'll make that motion. I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. McKelvey?
Aye.
Mr. Brady?
I have to abstain. I didn't read them because they didn't come through to me.
Okay. Darlene?
Yeah, aye.
John?
Aye.
James?
I didn't attend. I'll abstain.
Okay. And I vote aye. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to nothing with 2 abstentions. All right, next. Any updates? I don't think we've got any appointments or hearings to update on. Is there anybody from the Board of Selectmen that would like to share anything?
Nobody present, sir.
All right. Anybody from the school board?
Nobody present, sir.
Thank you very much. We have no old business, so new business. Mr. Town Manager, Mr. Collins.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you very much for this opportunity. Obviously, I believe all of you have picked up your fiscal year 22 budget books. If you have not, then they are available at the Town Manager's office. I just wanted to make sure that all of you were totally familiar with the schedule that is in the front of the book. And there's 2 things that I would like to bring up tonight. Number 1, if you have any questions before the process begins, then I invite you to contact my office, as always. If there's a question in advance that you think needs to be answered, that...
I don't mean to interrupt, but I can't hear Rodney.
I'm having trouble hearing Rodney.
Yeah.
Breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
No.
He sounds off mic.
Let me change mics.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Get Wayne on it over there.
Wayne's on it. Can you hear me now?
Try again.
Testing 1, 2.
That's better.
It's a little better, but not loud.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not too well. I don't think that mic's helping.
I was hearing better.
No.
I think he's turning up the volume. Hold on.
We'll get all this worked out by March 10th.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. We'll try that. Let's see. We'll manage.
Can you hear me, John?
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously what I wanted to inform the committee of is the fact that the fiscal year 22 books, the budget books, are available at my office. If you have not picked up your book, they are available. Secondly, obviously with the budget reviews starting next week, if any of you are unable to, for whatever reason, participate and you have a question that you want asked and answered, then I invite you to forward it to my office. In addition, if there is another question that you or a fellow member has that you would like to have answered before we begin the budget reviews, then you're always welcome to contact my office. And if we can't answer the question immediately, we'll get the answer for you and get right back to you.
So one point on that, I would just like all those questions to flow through the chairman to you. So
that
any
works
committee
good for
member
me.
has anything, send it to me and I'll forward it, just so you're not inundated.
That works good for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
So, Rodney, do you mean questions in general or questions specific to the department head budgets?
Well, if you're going to attend, then you're going to have your opportunity to ask the department head. What I'm primarily referring to is a question that needs to be asked and answered if you are unable to attend for whatever reason, or I should say participate, or if you are just curious about something that you have a question about and you would like to have answered before the budget review process begins, then we'll get that answered for you and get back to you, or I should say, get back to the chair.
Thank you. I had another question, I guess it is, on the schedule for the department head sessions. I won't speak for everybody, but in my case, there were specific ones that I'm able or want to participate in because I can't make too many being a working stiff and all. But I gather these scheduled times are approximate, and they might come sooner if the earlier sessions end sooner. So, for example, on Monday, I'm on there. I'd like to be at the planning board session scheduled for 3. But if for some reason it starts at 2:25 because everything else took less time, I wouldn't know about that. Is there a way to sort of stay plugged in for those of us that aren't there for all of them?
Well, we're going to try to stick to the schedule, but if there should be any adjustment, then we can certainly contact the chair or the respective finance committee member who is participating.
Okay.
We certainly don't want to start early or avoid the attendance of a finance committee member if the person is planning on attending. That's for certain.
Yeah, no, I understand, but you probably don't want to be there for 4 hours if you don't have to be either. So
Well,
I get it.
I would have no objections to that either.
Thank you.
Any surprises? Have you looked at the budget yet, Rodney? Have you seen gone through the books yet?
I've just done a cursory look at it, Greg. I think your question was any surprises.
Right, that's my question.
Nothing that shocks me so far, but ask me next week.
Well, you never know.
I had put together a spreadsheet that I sent to everyone, I think, that took that information in the roll-up summary and compared it to FY19 and 20 actuals and the current year budget. which I just thought might be useful to the Finance Committee for purposes of identifying not only year-over-year trends in a 3-year period, but specifically on certain department line items, those years in which the increases were significant by comparison, for all the reasons that were probably addressed at the time. But I did this partly for my own insight, as every budget year, as you sort of project what the trend has been in the past, it sort of suggests what the trend may be in the future. So if we all feel individually or as a group that these percentage year-over-year increases are acceptable, that's fine. But if we think there's a need to raise a caution flag at some point down the road, this might give some fodder to base that thinking on.
It's a good starting point, and I'm sure we'll definitely get into it a lot more as we get into the budget next month.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Mr. Collins regarding the budget or budget process? All right, hearing none. Mr. Collins, you're next to Comcast.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we are in the process of forming what I refer to as a negotiating committee for the purposes of sitting down with the group from Comcast to negotiate the terms and conditions of a new contract. And I would like to see if you folks would like to designate one Finance Committee member to serve in that capacity.
I'd be quite interested in that. Just to throw a hat in the ring here, I've had a sort of an ongoing dialogue with our counterparts in Falmouth, who's going through the same process on the same timetable. And while their contract is different than ours, I'm rather interested in it, and I've had a long-standing arm's length involvement with Mashpee TV, which is certainly a beneficiary of the licensing fees that are generated. So, subject to the committee's preference here or the town managers, I'd be happy to do that if the slot's available.
I thank you for stepping up for that.
I would be available also. I think it's intriguing to see how that process would work, but I'm not going to die on that hill if I'm not on it, but I'd be interested too. So.
All right, Mr. Collins, you got 2 candidates to work with.
My only limitation might be, when these discussions.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to make this simple for you. We'll take both.
Okay.
Woo, you're a brave man.
Thank you very much.
With the consent of the entire committee, I would appreciate.
Are there any objections from anybody on the committee?
No. Nope.
No.
All right.
And that's good because if one of our schedules conflict and can't be there, the other one probably can, so hopefully it'll be all work out.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I strongly believe in the chain of command, Mr. Chair, so do you have any problems with my office reaching out to these individuals for this purpose directly?
Deal with them directly for this.
Thank you, sir. I'm all set.
Yeah, they're part of that committee now, so that the direct communication is fine.
We'll keep you in the loop, Mr. Chair.
Yep, sounds good.
Oh, Ron, if I could, just a quick follow-up on the budget, if I may, Mr. Chair. No, I just lost my train of thought. I guess it can wait.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, a couple of questions of the budget for Mr. Collins, if I'm allowed.
Off topic of the budget or on topic of the budget?
A different topic. I could make it, I guess, budget oriented, I guess. It is kind of budget oriented.
Quickly.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Collins, just a quick question for you regarding turnbacks. I know that things have been different this year, and maybe there was some significant savings in some areas, and maybe there wasn't. But where there was significant savings in some areas, would it be possible? How does it work? Do things have to automatically get turned back into the free cash, or can it be set aside for the budget for the fall next year? That's my question.
I believe it's designated for free cash, and that is an answer that's in the affirmative.
No.
The answer is no.
No, I can't understand anything you
Okay,
said.
we can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be free cash.
It would go into free cash.
Yes.
Okay. And is that because it has to go into free cash, or is there a law that indicates that?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Just curious.
And I regained my train of thought, which has to do, I know that in municipal affairs, the budgets have to do primarily with expenses, actually entirely expenses. But apart from tax revenue, the town increasingly relies on fees from all sorts of things, licenses, permits, fines, seasonal rentals, you name it. So, Rodney, at some point during this process, particularly for those departments that generate revenues as part of the reason for their existence, are changes in revenue expectations factored into anyone's thinking, and should it be with ours on the Finance Committee as we go through the budgets? And part of that is tempered by the fact that, this has been a strange year, and next year is going to be strange too. We get resources from the government because of COVID, and certain revenue-producing activities that would otherwise benefit the town are not happening like they were. That could be income from rentals, seasonal rentals, from recreation events that have fees associated with, beach stickers. It could be any number of things. So the question is, how does our fee-based, our non-tax levy revenue factor into anyone's thinking with respect to the budget capacity?
Well, I don't have that data directly in front of me. What I can tell you in general terms is obviously we would take a look at any revenue streams to see whether or not if it's off the mark in terms of what was anticipated budget-wise. And would that be factored in at the end of the fiscal year? The answer is absolutely yes. But I have not seen any troubling spots up to this point. Again, I don't think fiscal year 21 is going to be the issue. I think it's going to be fiscal year 22. And
Lost that audio again.
Yes. I'm sorry? Was there a question?
But there is some effort made to project revenue that's not generated from the tax base.
Well, what I'm saying is we're going to take a look at any revenue stream that the town obviously projects in any given fiscal year to see whether or not it's on target of what was anticipated. As far as any department operations, with the exception of a enterprise fund, I'm not aware of anything that would be impacted to the extent that you describe.
Oh, okay. It's just, government's practice in general in recent years to shift what would otherwise be raised from tax revenues to, those that use the service pay for the service. So I would expect over time the Mashpee, like every other town and city and state in the country, is realizing enhanced revenue from assessing fees above and beyond what might have been customary 10 years ago, and that's probably a trend that's going to continue.
I think
but whether or not that trickles down to having an immaterial effect on whether the budget is, a 0% increase versus a 5% increase is unknown, I guess, by me anyway.
the thing that would concern me is if the state doesn't provide the aid that we anticipated. Like if all of a sudden we're losing $300,000 or $400,000 there, that would be having a obvious trickle-down effect.
Yeah, and of course, I guess it follows that if we don't collect it from fees, then we collect it from the tax rate.
Yeah, again, we're going to examine revenues if they're short, and then if revenues are short and we have to make up for them, the question becomes how much, and then how do we do it, or do we want to do it?
Right.
And essentially there are two choices. You either increase taxes or you reduce services.
Yep. Okay, that answers it. Thank you very much.
All right. So let's move on to the next item, which is the annual audit. And so if Mr. Collins can educate the Finance Committee about how it's been done in the past, and then we can think about what we need to do for the future.
I'm going to defer to the Finance Director who is here.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Hi, Don.
Yeah, Don. Welcome, Don.
All right. So as far as the annual audit, as you probably already know, it is not subject to the 30B procurement laws for the annual audit. We have had different firms that have conducted our audit.
I've lost sound again.
Can you hear? I don't know. Sorry. Is this better?
Yeah.
And is it better if I take this off?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the audio is not being picked up by that mic in front of you. It's coming from somewhere else in the
Do you
room,
want me to try that one?
the source.
I don't know if the, can you hear me now?
We can hear you when you talk directly into it. As soon as you move at all, we don't hear it, or I
Okay.
don't hear it.
If I try to stay really still, maybe, maybe I can make it work. So as you know, the annual audit, or you probably know, is not subject to the 30B procurement laws. We have had the audit firm that we have now actually bought out a former audit firm. Clifton Larson Allen is our current audit company, and they're a very large national, at least national, maybe world, I don't know. But they're a very large audit firm, and they have conducted our audit since 2016. When they bought out the former firm, they did a head-to-toe, I'm going to call it, audit from the IT department down to, we had them looking at the transfer station. So they did a really deep, thorough audit. At this point, they are still contracted through FY21. So that's why it's kind of in your hands now as far as determining if you want to go out to bid, and which you certainly, we encourage it at this point. It would be very beneficial for, I think, everybody to not only put out what we are looking for as far as services, but also see what can be offered to us for services as well as the cost. We have had, our audit for '21 is $47,000, which it has not gone up more than, I don't even think it went up 3% in the last several years. So we have had very good costs as far as what it costs for us for the audit. But at this point, what I'd like to do is, if you want to have some direction, I have the treasurer here, because the two of us are really the two departments that are most involved with the audit and communicate with the auditors more than any other department. So what we'd like to do is kind of get a feel of, we could give you some direction as far as if you want to go put an RFP out. We have some, we can look into what other towns have done. I've looked into some of the RFPs that have gone out. You can do one that's 30 pages long. You can, I've seen one that's only 4 pages long. So there's a lot that we can include in that if you want to do that. And then, both the treasurer and I have certain things that we would like to make sure that whatever firm is chosen at least meets certain criteria on our end. So right now at this point, I guess what we're looking for is what you want to do, what we can provide for you, and where you want to go in the next step. The one thing, probably have to move faster than, well, I don't want to say faster, but, you don't want to wait too long, because June 30 is when this current contract is up. So we would want to have something in place before the fiscal year, the new fiscal year begins July 1.
I have a few
What is
questions.
the typical length time of one of these contracts? Is it 3 years or?
3 years is our normal contract period. The Attorney General doesn't like these contracts to go more than 5. That would be the limit. But we normally do a 3-year contract. With this latest one, we did 1-year extension just because of everything being so crazy. So that's why this one did go 1 more year. But at this point, normal contract length is 3 years.
So the presumption is it's just a good business practice to solicit new auditors at 2 or 3 year intervals, irrespective of what our experience with the current auditor has been, pro or con.
Correct.
And they might be one of the applicants.
Right. And even though you're not required to do so, it would be good practice, yes.
Yeah, okay. My assumption is that if a new firm were engaged, that there would be, some one-time ramp-up costs involved that might not be the case with the current auditor, which is not in and of itself a good reason not to make a change. I'm not suggesting that. But if the 3-year contract that we're under has a prefixed price for the 3 years, I imagine we could anticipate that 3 years later now that price for the next 3 years with whoever the firm is going to be different, maybe substantially so, and that would probably reflect the cost of a new firm getting familiar with what might be unique about Mashpee that they don't see elsewhere. Are those legitimate factors as we evaluate the opportunities?
Yes, I would definitely, if I don't know if you're going to choose maybe a couple of you to work on this or not, but I would, be very happy if you could involve the treasurer and I to give you some insight as far as certain things that we have been provided with in the past that we would definitely at least want to include in any request for proposals. I can tell you that our current audit firm, they are always available as far as if we have some advice that we need, or we need some direction, or we want a professional opinion about a certain thing. They have never charged us for contacting them and getting an answer. They are also, every year, we have, they come to us and they say, is there anything in particular you would like us to take a really deep look at? And last fiscal year, one of the items was the sticker office. And it's not that you think anything's wrong, it's just you'd like them to review the process, see if there's anything that can be changed to make it more efficient, see if there's any kind of potential risks that, financial risks that might exist that they would advise us to change. So that's something else that we would want any new auditor to be able to provide those services with us for no extra charge. That's the thing. We want to make sure that when an RFP does go out, that all of these items are addressed in that, so that any proposals that come in would include any of that cost.
In terms of performance of the current term, my sense is that there's no reason to express displeasure with the results of the current contract.
Correct. And I've actually had a few calls for referrals, and I think that they have just been so accommodating to us that it's been, we would definitely want that in a new firm if we go with that. The price has been, in my opinion, very reasonable. They haven't gone up. We haven't had any surprises with this. As we've gone through, various audits. They've conducted, like I said, they've done, if you want a special audit done, they will do a student activity audit, which we've had done. They audited this past audit. They did the school store, the in Mashpee Commons, the school store that exists there. And like I said, it's not that there's anything wrong with what's going on. It's more having them look at all the processes and procedures and making sure that everybody's following the financial rules that they should be. And if there's a better way or more efficient way of doing something, they make those recommendations. And then they give us an entirely, a written report on what they find as well. And it's important too, we were talking, obviously they have to be experienced with governmental accounting, but there's also something to be said for a company that understands your software. And this particular company has been very helpful as far as they understand certain they understand the software. I mean, there was a former auditor actually advised us on how to do the chart of accounts, everything when we went to this new software. So that's very important to us, so that when they ask for something, a report, or we need to give them something, or we request something, that there's a mutual understanding of what it is that the person's looking for, whether it be us or whether it be someone from the firm, one of the auditors. I can tell you, and if you'd like to hear from the treasurer, we implemented a treasury management module that handles all the banking within our software system. And the treasurer, when did you implement that? Recently? 14? So when we implemented the program, which was recommended by them in one of their management letters, we went to the software company and they explained to us how they felt that we should set up this particular module. And, I kept saying, I just don't, this doesn't seem right. So I turned to our auditors and I said, the software company is asking us to set this up this way, and it just does not seem like it's going to work with how we're set up. And they said, absolutely not. And they steered us in the right direction and who we should talk to. And now we have, we use the program, and actually the treasurer gets individual other towns calling here to see how did you do it, what works, what didn't work. So we actually have people contacting our town with advice and some direction as far as how to do this. So, those are little things that it's hard to put a price tag on. I don't know how to do that, but those would be very important things that we would want to see in any firm that is chosen.
We get your drift. How long, if you know, the previous firm before 2016, how long had they been on board with us?
The former before Clifton Larson? Well, it had changed twice. When I first started, it was, I don't remember the exact name, and then it was, I believe, two individuals bought it out, and it was Sullivan Rogers and Company, LLC, and then Clifton Larson Allen, the current company, bought out the Sullivan Rogers.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So, any more general questions for Don or the treasurer? So I'm going to make a motion that we move forward with an RFP with that process. So that's the motion I'm making.
I will second that.
All right. We'll start with James.
Can we have
Or
a discussion?
any discussion? Yes. Sorry.
That's all good and well, but then the next question will be who's going to do the work on it?
We'll have to figure out.
Well, I think we need to address that a little bit because I'd hate to commit to doing the process and not have any sense of who's willing to invest the effort and time necessary. If we're all confident that one way or the other that will happen, given the limitations of the finance director and the treasurer, that's fine. But 30-page RFP preparations can be pretty involved, not to mention the review of the results.
So the first question I would have is, does anybody on this committee have experience with preparing an RFP?
No.
No.
Yeah. And that's the reason I had some concerns on that. Not that I'm volunteering just yet.
We did it the last time.
Let me ask a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Could we also make a motion to stay with the people we got and give them the authorization to go forward with that?
You could also do a one-year extension if you wanted to give yourself a little more time to, absorb and kind of
This
really
would be the
dig
second
into
one-year
this.
extension then, right? If we did that.
Yes.
When you did the extension, do all the same terms and conditions for the contract just simply extend, or were there increases?
No, it would be the same.
You can tell Pat's a lawyer.
I might be obliged to give them another one-year extension.
I would think, given the restrictions that we are all living under with the COVID, it might be a really good idea to give us the extra time to start doing the research and getting it taken care of as we go forward. But that would be my opinion.
All right. So what we may want to do is, if we go with the extension, but at the same time start the process of drafting an RFP for after that.
Yes.
That might give us a little bit more time to do a good job of that.
And we can, through the town manager, we can provide you with like I said, RFPs from other municipalities that have been written. And again, you can do a 30-page one, you can do a 5-page one, but at least that will give you an idea of what...
I'm not hearing her.
Oh,
The mics tonight are terrible.
can you...
But I think a lot of it, Zoom is picking up and overriding her. It's picking up other.
Okay, because I didn't get that whole last sentence.
I was just saying, through the town manager, we could provide you with other RFPs from other municipalities, and you can kind of, pick and choose certain things within that, and then reach out through the town manager. Any questions, any advice we can do, any input that we can give, we can provide you with that, and that may be helpful as far as, getting the process started and having some direction. Because it is overwhelming. It's a big job, and there's a lot of information, and it's kind of a particular field, I guess I should say. So.
This would be for the FY20 audit, right?
It would be for the FY20, we would extend it for the 21, because right now we are through FY20. They're a year behind, I believe. Actually, yeah, it's 20, right? Yeah. Right now they're conducting the FY20 audit. So we're good through for FY20, but we would need something for FY21. And that audit, usually they start the audit in the fall after the fiscal year ends. So this would be an extension.
Yeah, I'm thinking too, if FY22 is the forecasted year that all hell's going to break loose, potentially, having some stability with the current auditor to get us through the FY21 review would probably maximize our strength in positioning as we enter FY22, when who knows what's going to happen. So I think, favor, based on everything that's been said tonight, extending the current contract under existing terms, if that's possible.
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I would recommend, if the committee was so willing, to extend the current one by a year, which I think has been discussed, and then additionally, what I would recommend is that the finance team get some draft requests for proposals back to us that we can deliver to you, and also take a look at 2 or 3 towns of similar size, and then you can have plenty of time to look those over, and then mesh them however you want, and give us your suggestion based on all of that information, and then we're not going to be under such time constraints. If you were inclined to do that, that's what I would suggest.
I think that's some good suggestions, yes.
Yeah.
You know, it takes time, because even meeting with the officers just to discuss what they would like, the shortfalls they have, everything remotely does slow things down, and it's inefficient.
Well, if the chairman will withdraw his motion, I would move exactly what Rodney just said.
And I was just waiting for a moment to withdraw my motion. So my motion, I withdraw my motion to go for the RFP. And does the person who seconded it also agree?
Yes.
All right. Your motion, John?
Well, if Kathy was able to get it, I thought what Rodney just said was pretty eloquent. So just if you need me to paraphrase that, I'll make attempt at it.
Attempt.
I can. Is basically the motion is to extend the current audit firm's contract for 1 year, and during that period begin the process of writing an RFP for after that contract extension.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion on that? All right, we'll take a vote. James?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Darlene?
Aye.
Patrick?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So that's
I was beginning to think that we say aye when it's on Zoom and we say yes when we're in person.
I shake it up a little bit.
7, 6-0. All right. So that's that, and I'll work with Mr. Collins to start the process of gathering together whatever information we need. So give us an opportunity for everybody else to think about if they want to take on being a part of actually drafting this, and who wants the experience and everything. So we'll take that on at a later date. But you at least give us some time to think about it and gather the information. So thank you very much, Dawn and Rodney, for being here and providing us with this information and insight so that we can make an informed decision about how to do this.
Yes, really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
All right. And so the next item on our
Are
agenda.
you all set with us?
Mr. Collins?
Are you all set with us?
Yes. I don't think we need you for this next piece we're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
All right. So.
And happy holidays.
Based on the email that I forwarded to everybody, I'm going to make a motion that the committee votes to authorize the chair, or in the chair's absence, the vice chair or clerk, to execute and endorse all decisions, permits, approvals, plans, orders, instruments, or other documents of whatever nature on behalf of and as duly authorized agent for the Finance Committee.
And that's a motion, Jeff?
That's a motion.
I'll motion it, or second it.
Second it. Thank you. So we can have a discussion on this. Basically, this came up having to pay a bill for the audit, and whereas it's impossible to get everybody together in one place to sign off on it, and this is something that the Board of Selectmen has also already done and approved. One person is authorized to sign. It's an authorized signatory. So that's just to make it easier to get bills paid.
So the prerequisite for doing this would be based on some action that the Finance Committee took.
Mm-hmm.
A vote of the committee. In other words, we're not authorizing a person to act for the committee in a vacuum.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
This is just giving somebody the authorization to sign on behalf of the entire committee.
And there's an end date on that, isn't there, Jeff?
Yes. The way the authorization it would end March 10th, 2020, or when the emergency is declared over, if that happens sooner.
Okay.
Or later.
It will terminate upon the vote of the committee or upon the expiration of March 10th, 2020. Actually, that date's got to be incorrect.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it meant the later of either March 10th next year or when the state of emergency ends, whichever comes
Yeah,
first.
that's what I think that's going to be 2021.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to make sure that make it aware that when the form gets actually filled out by Debbie Dammy, that the date's corrected on that.
Right. I like efficiency. That sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a motion? Did you make a motion?
Yes, it's been made and seconded.
Okay.
So just want to make sure everybody's clear. If there's any other discussion. And if not, we'll take a vote. Greg?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
John?
Yep.
James?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So that's a unanimous vote there. Excellent. And I will let Terry and Debbie know that we approve that certificate of authorization. All right. All right. I don't have any additional topics. That brings us to our next meeting is scheduled for January 7th, 2021 at 6:30. So, and, oh, nice tree.
Mine's behind me, but I didn't plug it in.
Must be Grubhub.
All right, thank you all. We'll look. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll do the motion.
Second.
All right.